So I never knew that witches use infinity stones, but I guess they do. All Cheerleaders Die stars Caitlin Stacey Brooke Butler and is directed by Lucky McKee and Chris Silverson. What is up, guys? So my Dollar Tree has movies now, and some of them are surprisingly pretty decent. I got this movie, I think I bought it yesterday, called All Cheerleaders Die. And I was kind of interested in it. It looks like something that one of my admins, good friend Leela from Killer Flicks, would like. So I picked it up and I threw it in last night to watch it with the wife. And I was just floored by how zany and crazy and chaotic and insane this movie was. But so much so that I felt the need to review it. It was not on my review schedule, but sometimes if movies really jump out at me and I feel like I need to discuss them, then I review them. So maybe you can go to your Dollar Tree and you'll see this movie. This movie came out in like 2013 too. I was doing a little bit of research on it, but I like it because it's just refreshing, you know, in a day and age where we have kind of the same rinse and repeat formula for horror with your supernatural movies and your slashers, even though slashers are like my favorite genre, but it's nice when a horror movie like steps outside the box and tries something different and it kind of works, And this one, it does. At the end of the day, I will say, this is not gonna be a spoiler review, but at the end of the day, at the very end of the movie, I remember my wife and I looked at each other and we were like, that was a lot of fun. And that's kind of what you want. So looking forward to getting into this one. But All Cheerleaders Die, it's really kind of this rivalry between these cheerleaders and these jocks. This one jock, the main lead, Terry, he's jealous because his ex-girlfriend Tracy is like in this like lesbian relationship with Maddie. Beginning of the movie, Maddie is kind of making fun of the cheerleaders. You know, she wasn't a cheerleader at the beginning of the movie, but then eventually she becomes a cheerleader, becomes friends with them. And then there is this Wiccan character who uses these stones as a form of witchcraft. So eventually this rivalry, it comes to a head. You know, they're at this wooded area. And Terry sees Tracy kissing Maddie. So eventually the situation escalates and he punches her. And so then the girls leave and then there's this big accident and it's just like I Know What You Did Last Summer, where the guys, the jocks, they're afraid, but they just leave them, you know? They leave them to die. And so standing on the sidelines is this character, Lena, who used to date Maddie. She is a Wiccan and she casts this spell to bring them back to life. You know, she uses these stones to bring them back to life. So this is where we're getting into like Jennifer's Body territory, because once they're alive, they need to like feed on blood, kind of like a vampire would do. But yeah, they need to feed on blood to get stronger and to live. And really that's what the movie's about. It's a fun little horror movie. But what makes this one so memorable, I think, is really just the way it's filmed and the performances. And it really just goes for it.
Crazy friggin' dream.
You know how you have like a scene, and you'll have actors in a scene, and they can approach a character in a certain way, and most of the time it's stuff that's not that shocking, not that surprising. But these actresses and actors, they really go for it. It doesn't always land, but when it does, it's memorable, and I think that makes it worth it. This movie starts off really, really, really bad. Like within 5 minutes, I was thinking, I might have to turn this off because, you know, it is one of those low budget B movies. I think it's like Image Entertainment or something like that. So it's like right on the line of stepping a big toe into the big studio territory. But a lot of times I like those movies too because they're more unpredictable. But yeah, like I said, this one starts off really bad, but then for some reason, as soon as this confrontation goes on between the jocks and the cheerleaders, then it starts getting interesting. I remember during this scene too, I was just thinking, okay, now this is starting to really pick up. And really because of the performances. You know, these actors, they're taking it seriously and they realize they're in an oh shit moment. You know, they're up shit creek without a paddle. And so then the intensity really picks up. And also you have a lot of scenes in this movie that are really fun. When they die, there's one scene with this character, Tracy, she doesn't want goat milk. And so she goes across the street to the neighbor and she takes milk out of his fridge. But that scene is just so funny and whacked out crazy. And she like seduces him because she goes over there in just her bra and panties. And so it kind of reminded me of like Species. So like she seduces him and then she kills him. But it's like Species on crack. And also one of the spells causes two of the characters to like swap places, kind of like Freaky Friday, which I didn't think was really necessary, but it kind of played into a later scene where one of them's having sex with one of the jocks. He thinks it's a different girl. So the real girl ends up like chasing him through the woods. And that scene's really funny too because it showcases their powers. Like she can throw the guy against this tree like high up. And that's one thing that's very memorable about this movie too is, you know, how strong these girls are and how these scenes are played out and directed. I think it's very effective and it works. You can tell it's on a really low budget, but you know, the directors, they're able to pull it off and make something that is memorable. And I think the biggest thing about this movie is it goes out with a bang. You know, that very last scene, it takes place in like this graveyard. But I mean, really like going for the jugular, throwing blood and guts at the screen, it works very well. It's very intense too, by the way. So this movie surprised me. It really surprised me. And it's nice when you find these movies that normally you would never even hear of. I found this at the Dollar Tree. And the cover alone just kind of grabbed me. And so I'm glad I gave it a chance and I'm glad I watched it. You know, I'm always a big supporter of like low budget independent films that, you know, we're not going to see in the big studios like Blumhouse. So it was refreshing. Let me know what you guys think if you have seen this movie. And if you haven't, I would highly recommend it. I thought it was pretty damn interesting actually. And recommend in the comments a really low budget movie that's good that many of us have probably never heard of. And by the way, for the rating, I'll give this movie a high humdrum. I'll definitely give it that because it does have some problems. There are some bad acting in this movie too. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of fun. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks where we talk horror all day and every day and on Fridays. We do Free for All Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day and Drumdum out.